The night shift at Jupiter Space Monitoring Station was usually quiet. But on this cold December morning of 2157, everything changed. Tom Parker sat at his console, sipping his third cup of coffee when the sensors started beeping wildly. "That's odd," he muttered, adjusting his screens. The energy readings near Jupiter's orbit were unlike anything he had seen before. They pulsed with a strange rhythm that definitely wasn't natural. Within minutes, every major space agency on Earth was awake. The United Space Command's Emergency Council gathered in their underground headquarters in Geneva. Large screens showed the mysterious energy signatures growing stronger. Commander James Miller stood before the council, his gray uniform neat despite being called in at 3 a.m. Ladies and gentlemen, these readings suggest we're dealing with artificial power sources, multiple of them, and they're big. The room fell silent as new data streamed in. Earth's most powerful telescopes focused on the area, and what they saw stunned everyone. 15 massive ships, each larger than Earth's biggest space station, drifted near Jupiter's orbit. Their dark hulls showed signs of damage, and their engines emitted the strange energy patterns that had caught Tom's attention. "They're not moving under their own power," Miller explained, pointing to the data. "Those energy signatures, they're from emergency power systems. Whatever these ships are, they're in trouble." The council debated for hours. Some wanted to send warships. Others suggested hiding and watching. But Miller had a different idea. "We send help," he said firmly. "If they wanted to attack, they wouldn't arrive damaged and powerless. This could be our first chance to meet aliens peacefully." After more debate, the council agreed. Within 6 hours, Earth launched its first contact mission. 3 of humanity's fastest ships, led by Commander Miller aboard the ESS Hope, approached the alien fleet. As they got closer, the size of the alien vessels became clear. Each one was shaped like a massive arrow, with elegant curves despite the visible damage to their hulls. Dark scorch marks and tears in their metal skin told stories of some terrible battle or disaster. Miller's communications officer, Jack Wilson, worked for hours to establish contact. He tried every possible frequency and pattern until finally, their screens lit up with an image that would change human history forever. The alien that appeared looked almost like a tall human with silvery skin and large eyes. It spoke in a musical language that the ship's computers quickly began to analyze. "I am Commander Miller of Earth," Miller said clearly, letting the computers translate. "We detected your ships and came to offer assistance." The alien's response, when translated, made everyone on the bridge catch their breath. "Help, please. 50,000 souls aboard. Children, families, power failing. 30 days of life support remaining." Miller didn't hesitate. "We're here to help. You're safe now." The alien commander's eyes showed an emotion that seemed very human, relief. They learned that the fleet had fled from their home system after a terrible disaster. Their main drives were damaged during the escape, leaving them stranded in Earth's solar system. As the first human repair ships approached the alien fleet, Miller sent a message back to Earth. "They're refugees. They've traveled far, running from something that destroyed their home. They have children aboard. We can't turn them away." The news spread across Earth quickly. Humans had dreamed of first contact for centuries, but no one had expected it to happen like this. Instead of conquerors or traders, Earth's first aliens were refugees who needed help. That night, Tom Parker looked at his sensor readings again, but now he saw more than just energy signatures. He saw 50,000 lives that Earth had a chance to save. As he watched, more ships launched from Earth, carrying supplies, medical teams, and engineers. The greatest rescue mission in human history had begun, and humanity was about to show the galaxy what it did best, helping those in need. 3 days after first contact, the true scale of the crisis became clear. Dr. Anna Reed stood in the medical bay of the alien flagship, her heart heavy as she looked at the readings on her tablet. The radiation levels in many of the refugee children were dangerously high. "How many are affected?" Commander Miller asked, standing beside her in the dimly lit chamber. The emergency lights cast a blue glow over everything, a constant reminder that the alien ships were running on borrowed time. At least 2,000 children. Anna replied, showing him the scans. Whatever they were running from, it exposed them to massive amounts of radiation. Their own treatments aren't working anymore. The alien medical officer, who the humans now called Doc Blue because of his slightly blue-tinted skin, worked alongside them. He had learned to speak basic English with remarkable speed. Our medicines, failing, Doc Blue said, his large eyes reflecting worry. Children getting worse. Power systems also failing. Cannot keep medical units running much longer. Back on Earth, the United Nations held emergency sessions. Videos from the refugee fleet showed entire families crowded into emergency quarters. Their ships, once beautiful and powerful, now floated helplessly in space, their main engines burned out from whatever desperate escape they had made. Some nations feared it was a trick. "How do we know they're really refugees?" asked one world leader. This could be an invasion strategy. But the evidence was hard to ignore. The Earth ship's scans showed the damage was real. The aliens had no working weapons, and most convincingly, they had freely shared their medical data, engineering specifications, and full access to their ships. Tom Wilson, now working directly on the alien flagship, sent regular reports back to Earth. "They're running out of everything," he wrote. "Food, medicine, power. The kids are hit worst. They've got maybe 27 days left before life support fails completely. We've got 50,000 people here who will die if we don't help them." The debate on Earth reached every home and street. People watched the news constantly, seeing images of alien children in medical beds, of families huddled together in emergency lighting, of once proud ships now dark and wounded. Then something remarkable happened. People started to act. Hospitals across Earth offered to take in the radiation-sick children. Space agencies worldwide began converting stations and ships to house refugees. Factories switched to producing supplies that could work for alien biology. Miller stood in the alien ship's command center, talking with their leader, who humans called Captain Gray. "Your people's kindness," Captain Gray said slowly in careful English. "We did not expect this." "Earth has seen many refugee crises," Miller replied. "We've learned that helping others isn't just right, it makes us stronger." But not everything went smoothly. The first attempts to treat the alien children with Earth medicines failed. Some of the emergency supplies didn't work with alien technology, and housing 50,000 refugees would be the biggest humanitarian operation in human history. Dr. Anna worked day and night with Doc Blue, trying to adapt human radiation treatments for alien biology. After 4 days without sleep, she made a breakthrough. "Look," she called to her team, pointing at the test results. "If we modify our radiation medicines with elements from their treatments, it works. We can save the children." The news spread through both fleets. Hope, which had been fading, grew stronger. Earth's ships began ferrying the sickest children to orbital hospitals. Space stations were rapidly converted into refugee housing. Engineers worked round the clock to adapt Earth power systems to keep the alien ships running. Captain Gray gathered his people to share the news. "The humans do not just offer help," he told them. His voice translated for the watching Earth audiences. "They offer hope. They offer a future. We have lost our home, but we have found something precious. Proof that kindness exists among the stars." As the first alien children began responding to the new treatments, Earth made its decision official. The refugees would be welcomed. They would be protected. They would be saved. But no one knew that this decision would soon test humanity in ways they never imagined. In the darkness between the stars, something was following the refugee fleet, and it was getting closer. The largest space rescue mission in human history began on a cold January morning. Over 300 Earth ships launched within 24 hours. Engineers, doctors, and aid workers from every nation filled these vessels, carrying supplies and hope to the stranded alien fleet. Robert Smith, Earth's best engine specialist, floated inside the damaged drive section of the alien flagship. His flashlight beam showed twisted metal and burned-out power cores. "This is amazing," he said over the radio. "Their engine technology is like nothing we've ever seen." Working beside him, the alien engineer called Tech 1 pointed to a cracked crystal structure. "Main power core," he explained in broken English. "Burned out during escape. No replacement crystals." Robert studied the damaged crystal. "Maybe we can't copy it exactly," he said slowly, "but we might be able to build something similar. Something new." Above Jupiter's orbit, Earth's space stations began to change. The International Space Platform, humanity's largest station, transformed its cargo bays into living spaces. Workers installed new air systems that could handle the aliens' breathing needs. They converted empty decks into schools for the refugee children. Commander Miller watched from the command deck as the first transport ships began moving refugee families to the station. "How many can we save today?" he asked his operations officer. 2,000 on this run, sir," the officer replied. "The station can take 10,000 total now. Other stations worldwide are preparing to take more." The work wasn't easy. Earth's engineers struggled to understand alien technology. The aliens' bodies needed different gravity levels, different air mixtures. But humans proved remarkably good at solving problems. In her medical lab on the International Space Platform, Dr. Anna made another breakthrough. "The modified treatments are working better than expected," she told Doc Blue, showing him the results. "The children's radiation levels are dropping faster than we hoped." Doc Blue's large eyes showed what humans now recognize as happiness. "Your people's medicine. Different, but good. Creative. You find new ways we did not think of." The aliens brought their own surprises. They taught human engineers about their advanced shield technology. They shared their knowledge of space, showing humans star maps and trading routes that Earth had never imagined. Both sides learned that working together made them stronger. But not everything went according to plan. During one cargo transfer, a human ship's engine failed. Before it could crash into the alien vessel it was approaching, 3 alien crew members used their personal shield devices to push it back to safety. They risked their lives to save the human crew. "Why did you do that?" a reporter asked one of the aliens later. The alien's answer was simple. "Humans help us. We help humans. This is right way." Robert's team finally had a breakthrough with the engine problem. They couldn't copy the alien crystals, but they found a way to combine human fusion technology with the remaining alien power systems. It wasn't as powerful as the original engines, but it would work. "It's not pretty," Robert told Commander Miller, showing him the hybrid power core, "but it'll get these ships moving again. Give us 2 more weeks, and we can have all 15 ships under their own power." The news reached Earth as humanity celebrated another milestone. The 10,000th refugee had been safely moved to a space station. Schools on the stations reported that human and alien children were already learning to play together, despite their differences. Captain Gray stood with Commander Miller, watching the construction teams work. "When we fled our home," he said, "we thought we would die in space. Instead, we found Earth, found hope." Miller nodded. "Humanity has learned that diversity makes us stronger. Your people's knowledge, combined with ours, is already teaching us so much." As they spoke, the first hybrid power core came online. Lights that had been dark for weeks brightened throughout the alien flagship. Cheers in both human and alien languages filled the radio channels. But far out in space, at the edge of human sensor range, something large was moving. The aliens' past was catching up to them, and Earth would soon face its greatest test. Operation Safe Harbor had succeeded in saving the refugees. Now humanity would have to learn how to protect them. The warning came at midnight. Deep space sensors at Neptune's orbit detected something massive moving towards Earth. At first, the operators thought it was a computer error. The objects were too big to be normal ships. Tom Parker, still working at his monitoring station, was the first to understand what he was seeing. "Command, this is Deep Space Monitor 6, he called, his voice tense. "I'm tracking at least 30 vessels, each one bigger than the refugee ships. They're coming in fast." In the command center, Commander Miller watched as the massive ships appeared on the main screen. Beside him, Captain Gray's silver skin turned pale. "They found us," he whispered. "The Harvesters." For the first time, the refugees told their full story. The Harvesters were planet killers, moving from system to system, stripping worlds of resources and enslaving populations. They had destroyed the refugees' home world, and now they had tracked them to Earth. "Why didn't you tell us before?" Miller asked Captain Gray. "We were afraid," Gray replied, his large eyes showing shame. "Afraid you would turn us away if you knew they followed. Now we bring danger to those who helped us." Miller called an emergency meeting with Earth's Defense Council. The alien ship's sensors showed the Harvester fleet clearly, 30 warships, each one carrying enough firepower to level a continent. "We have 3 choices," Miller told the council. "We can surrender, we can turn over the refugees, or we can fight." The council chamber was silent. Fighting meant risking everything. Surrendering meant slavery. Turning over the refugees meant betraying people who would become friends. Dr. Anna spoke up from her seat at the medical station. "Those refugees trusted us. Their children are in our schools now. They're learning our languages, playing with our kids. We can't abandon them." Robert Smith, the engineer who had helped fix the refugee ships, added his voice. "They shared their technology with us, taught us things we never knew. We're stronger because they came here." The council's debate was interrupted by news from around the world. People had heard about the threat, and they were responding. Crowds gathered outside government buildings holding signs. "Earth protects its own, and refugees are family." The council made its decision. Earth would fight. Captain Gray tried to protest. "The Harvesters are too strong. We cannot ask you to die for us." Miller's response was firm. "We're not just fighting for you. We're fighting for every world these Harvesters would destroy, for every child they would enslave. Earth has seen bullies before. We don't bow to them." The next 48 hours saw the greatest military mobilization in human history. The refugee ships, now partly repaired, joined Earth's defense fleet. Human engineers worked with alien technicians to install the hybrid engines in combat vessels. The alien shield technology was quickly adapted for Earth's largest ships. Miller coordinated with military leaders worldwide to create a defense plan. They would make their stand at Mars orbit, using the planet's moons as cover. The refugee ships, with their advanced sensors, would act as early warning systems. Dr. Anna prepared medical stations throughout the solar system. Robert's engineering teams worked nonstop to build more hybrid power systems. Everyone knew they were racing against time. The first signs of the Harvesters' true nature came when they destroyed an unmanned research station near Neptune. They didn't bother with warnings or demands. They simply destroyed it and kept coming. Captain Gray shared everything he knew about Harvester tactics with Earth's military leaders. "They believe they are superior," he explained. "They do not expect real resistance. This is their weakness." As the massive Harvester ships moved past Jupiter's orbit, Earth made its final preparations. Civilian ships evacuated to the far side of the sun. Defense platforms armed their weapons. In schools and shelters throughout the solar system, human and refugee children held hands and waited. Commander Miller stood on his bridge, watching the enemy approach. Behind him, human and alien crew members worked side by side. Whatever happened next, they would face it together. The time for running was over. The time for fighting had begun. Robert Smith hadn't slept in 3 days. His workshop on Mars Base 1 was filled with parts from both human and alien ships. He and Tech 1 had just finished their newest creation, a weapon that combined Earth's nuclear technology with alien shield systems. "Will it work?" asked Commander Miller, looking at the strange device. Robert wiped grease from his hands. "In theory, It creates a blast that can pass through harvester shields. Their shields block physical objects. But this is different. The first test proved better than anyone hoped. When they fired the prototype at an asteroid, the blast passed straight through its defensive barrier, as if it wasn't there. Tech One's large eyes widened with surprise. "Never seen like this before," he said. "Human ideas. Unexpected." Across the solar system, other teams worked just as hard. Dr. Anna and Doc Blue had turned their medical knowledge to a new purpose. They were developing ways to protect ships' crews from harvester weapons. Their main guns use radiation pulses, Doc Blue explained to the Defense Council. But new treatments we made for refugee children. They might protect our fighters too. In orbit around Earth, factories worked at full speed. The new hybrid weapons were installed on every ship they could spare. Space stations were converted into repair bases. Even civilian ships were being fitted with basic shields. The first real test came sooner than expected. 3 Harvester scout ships jumped ahead of their main fleet, appearing suddenly near Saturn. 2 Earth defense ships, the Thunder and the Lightning, were on patrol nearby. Captain Jane West of the Thunder watched her new weapons power up. Her ship had been upgraded with Robert's hybrid technology just 2 days before. "Remember your training," she told her crew. "We've practiced for this." The Harvester ships were huge, 4 times the size of Earth vessels. They opened fire immediately, expecting an easy kill. But something unexpected happened. The Thunder and Lightning's new shields held. The Harvester's energy weapons splashed harmlessly against the hybrid defense screens. Then the Earth ships fired back. The new weapons worked exactly as Robert had predicted. The blasts passed straight through the Harvester shields, causing heavy damage. 1 scout ship exploded. Another turned to run. The third fought on, but was quickly destroyed. When the news reached Earth, celebrations broke out across every city. They had proved the Harvesters could be hurt, could be beaten. Captain Gray watched recordings of the battle with amazement. "In all our fighting, we never damaged them like this," he told Miller. "Your people's way of thinking. It changes everything." But there was no time to celebrate for long. The main Harvester fleet was still coming. The scout ship's destruction would only make them angry. Robert's team worked even faster. They found ways to make the hybrid weapons smaller, to fit them on fighter ships. Tech One discovered that human computer systems could process shield data faster than their own technology. The 2 sides' strengths covered each other's weaknesses. Dr. Anna's protective treatments were given to every ship crew. Doc Blue helped adapt them to work better in combat conditions. "Earth medicine," he said proudly, "saves lives in new ways." In the refugee camps and space stations, aliens taught humans about harvester tactics, while humans taught aliens about guerrilla warfare. "They expect everyone to fight like they do," an Earth general said. "But we've learned a few tricks over the centuries." Tom Parker's monitoring station tracked the main fleet's approach. They would reach Mars orbit in less than 24 hours. But now Earth was ready. Every ship had hybrid weapons. Every crew was protected against radiation weapons. Every captain knew the battle plans. Human ingenuity had combined with alien technology to create defenses no one had thought possible just weeks ago. Commander Miller stood on his bridge, looking at the combined fleet. Earth ships flew in formation with refugee vessels, their crews no longer separated by species but united by purpose. They had done in weeks what most would think impossible. "All ships report ready," his communications officer said. Miller nodded. The Harvesters were about to learn a hard lesson about humanity. When pushed, humans didn't just fight. They innovated. They adapted. They overcame. And they were very, very good at surviving. The Harvester fleet appeared exactly where Tom Parker's calculations said they would. 27 massive warships emerged from deep space near Mars orbit, their black hulls blocking out the stars behind them. Commander Miller stood on his bridge, watching the enemy approach. The combined human refugee fleet waited behind Mars and its moons, hidden but ready. They had half as many ships as the Harvesters, but they had something the enemy didn't expect: humanity's talent for surprise. "Remember the plan," Miller's voice carried to every ship in the fleet. "Let them come to us. Let them think they have us trapped." The Harvester ships moved forward with total confidence. Their leader's message boomed across all channels: "Surrender the refugees. Submit to harvesting, or be destroyed." Miller clicked his radio. Now, the battle began not with ships, but with Mars itself. Hidden engines that Robert and Tech One had planted on Phobos, Mars' largest moon, fired at full power. The small moon turned into a giant missile, shot straight at the Harvester fleet. The enemy's shield stopped Phobos, but the impact scattered their tight formation. That's when Earth's ships struck. 100 smaller vessels shot out from behind Deimos, Mars' other moon. These weren't warships. They were mining ships, each carrying one of Robert's special bombs. The Harvesters ignored them, thinking them harmless. That was their first mistake. The mining ships dove straight into the Harvester fleet and detonated their weapons. Shield-piercing explosions ripped through 5 enemy ships before they could react. "Second wave, go," Miller ordered. The main fleet emerged from hiding. Earth ships and refugee vessels flew side by side, their hybrid weapons firing in perfect sync. The Harvesters, still recovering from the first attack, took heavy damage. But the enemy was far from beaten. Their return fire lit up space with deadly energy beams. 3 Earth ships exploded. 2 refugee vessels lost power. Captain Jane West's Thunder led a squadron straight at the largest Harvester ship. "Dr. Anna's treatments are working," she reported. "We're taking radiation hits, but crews are protected." The battle split into dozens of smaller fights. Human ships used their smaller size to dodge between asteroids, firing from cover. Refugee ships provided sensor data, their better scanners helping target vital spots on enemy vessels. The Harvester commander, furious at losing the advantage, ordered his ships to combine their fire on Earth's main fleet. That was their second mistake. "They're grouping up," Miller called to all ships. "Execute Operation Windmill." Hundreds of small fighters launched from hidden bases on Mars. Each one carried a miniature version of the hybrid weapons. While the Harvesters focused on the main fleet, the fighters swept in from behind. The next 10 minutes were chaos. Hybrid weapon blasts pierced Harvester shields from all directions. Enemy ships spun and fired wildly, but they couldn't track the tiny fighters effectively. Tom Parker, watching from his monitoring station near Earth, saw the battle's turning point before anyone else. "The Harvester ships," he called to command. "Their shields are weakening. The combined attacks are draining their power." Miller ordered all ships to fire everything they had. The combined fleet turned as one, concentrating their fire on the weakened enemy vessels. One by one, Harvester ships began to explode. That's when the enemy made their final mistake. Instead of retreating, they charged straight at Mars, hoping to destroy the planet and everything on it. "All ships, clear the area," Miller ordered. Then he sent the signal Robert had been waiting for. Hidden charges in Mars' asteroid belt detonated. Thousands of rocks, each fitted with small engines, shot toward the charging Harvester fleet. The enemy ships, committed to their attack run, couldn't turn in time. The space around Mars turned into a storm of explosions. When the light faded, the mighty Harvester fleet was in ruins. The few surviving ships fled, vanishing into deep space. Cheers erupted across every human and refugee vessel. They had done the impossible. They had beaten the unbeatable enemy. Miller looked at his display, counting the cost. They had lost ships and brave crews, but they had protected Earth, saved the refugees, and proved something important. When humanity stood together with their new allies, they could overcome any threat. The battle for Sol was over. Earth had won. 1 month after the Battle of Sol, Earth looked different. The skies over every major city now showed new lights, refugee ships and space stations glowing alongside the stars. The victory celebration was still ongoing, but more importantly, A new future was taking shape. Commander Miller stood at the United Nations podium, addressing representatives from both Earth and the refugee fleet. Captain Gray stood beside him, no longer just a refugee leader, but an official ambassador of his people. "The Harvester's defeat teaches us something important," Miller said. "Together, we're stronger than we are alone. This victory belongs to all of us." In orbit, Robert and Tech One were leading a new project. The hybrid technology they had created for weapons was being converted for peaceful use. The first civilian ship with the new hybrid drive system was almost ready for testing. "Think about it," Robert told a group of reporters. "Their shield technology combined with our engines means we can explore further than ever before. The stars aren't just in reach. They're waiting for us." Dr. Anna's medical center had become something remarkable. Human and alien doctors worked side by side, combining their knowledge to cure diseases that had once seemed impossible to treat. The radiation treatments they had developed during the crisis were now helping cancer patients on Earth. "Every challenge we faced made us learn more," she explained, while Doc Blue nodded beside her. "Now we're seeing medical breakthroughs almost daily." Tom Parker had been promoted. His new job was running the Deep Space Alert Network, a combination of human and alien sensor technology that could detect ships approaching from much further away. "The Harvesters won't surprise us again," he said confidently. "And if they do come back, they'll find us even stronger." The refugee children were the biggest surprise. In schools across Earth and on the space stations, they learned alongside human kids. They taught each other games, shared stories, and didn't seem to notice or care about their differences. "Look," Captain Jane West said, pointing out the Thunder's window at the construction around Mars. The former battlefield was becoming a joint colony. Human and alien architects had designed structures that could house both species comfortably. "A month ago, this was where we fought for survival. Now it's where we're building the future." The remaining Harvester ships had fled beyond the edge of known space, but they had left something valuable behind. Fear was gone. The refugees no longer looked over their shoulders, waiting for disaster. They had found more than safety on Earth. They had found a home. Earth's governments and the refugee leaders signed the Sol System Alliance Treaty. It made the partnership official. Earth and the refugees would face the future as one people, sharing technology, knowledge, and resources. "But what do we call ourselves now?" a reporter asked during the signing ceremony. "We can't just say humans and refugees anymore." Captain Gray smiled, a gesture he had learned from his time with humans. "We are all Sol's children now," he said. "One system, one people, many forms." The changes were visible everywhere. Hybrid technology was revolutionizing Earth's industries. Space travel became cheaper and safer. The first joint exploration missions were already headed to nearby star systems, carrying crews of both species. Commander Miller walked through the halls of his ship, now fitted with both human and alien technology. The crew was mixed too, working together so smoothly it was hard to remember they had once been strangers. He stopped at the observation deck, looking out at Earth. A group of refugee ships was landing in the new Welcome Center in Africa. Another group was launching from Asia, headed to help build the Mars colony. Earth's space fleet, now upgraded with hybrid drives, patrolled the system's edges. "Commander," his radio crackled. "The first long-range explorer is ready for launch." Miller smiled. The ship was a joint project designed to search for other civilizations that might need help. Other peoples who, like the refugees, might be running from the Harvesters. "Launch approved," he said. As the explorer ship lifted off, its human and alien crew ready to face the unknown together, Miller thought about how much had changed. A desperate refugee fleet had found Earth, hoping just to survive. Instead, they had helped humanity reach for the stars. The end.